Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about Dan Didio's Deterioration of the DC Universe. If you followed my channel and my last few videos, you'll know I have a big problem with Dan Didio's direction that he's ushering the DC Universe in the comics right now. I'll link to a video in the top right hand corner there, as well as the description below, looking at his letter to the readers of the last DC Nation issue, in which he outlines his direction that he wants to take the DC Universe in. He is not happy with the Rebirth Initiative and where it left the DC Universe, and he's very clear about wanting to bring back the New 52, at least the spirit of it. As I've outlined before, the New 52 failed, and it failed for a reason. It earned them the flash-in-the-pan spectacle sales, but it was not sustainable. People were turning away and losing interest in droves. And it was mandated from higher than Dan Didio that a Rebirth Initiative should take place. Dan Didio had to sit down and shut up, and Jeff Johns came in and had a little bit more power to realize his vision. The DC Universe was turned back to its core, iconic, hopeful state. Many of the characters reverted to their iconic natures. We completely got rid of New 52 Superman, and we had the wonderful story of Superman Reborn. We had our character back that we loved. All of this stuff was happening. We had a great universe, and we were promised a 2-year story arc that would culminate in the Superman Doomsday Clock run. But as sales picked up and as people came back to DC Comics because of Rebirth, Dan Didio apparently gained a bit more power again. And he was always the main boss, but you could tell that there was a mandate from higher up that he allowed Jeff Johns some creative freedom. But it seems that he has more power again. As I outlined in that video, the timeline for Rebirth was completely obliterated now because of the Dark Knight's Metal event, which wasn't a bad event all in all, but that took more time. Doomsday Clock keeps getting put off and put off and put off. It's still not even finished and won't be finished for quite a while. And Dan Didio is back in control now, and just in a matter of a couple of months, the man has put an end to the wonderful Superman stories we had. He has taken Tomasi, Gleason, and Dan Jurgens off of the Superman titles. People were loving those titles, the wonderful, iconic Superman family they were giving us. Dan Didio has taken them off the titles, brought in Bendis, who's doing a horrible job. He has obliterated both the Teen Titans and the Titans team. They are now completely new, darker versions of themselves. He is working us toward another Crisis, the Heroes in Crisis event that they've already teased and said what this is going to be about. This is business as usual for Dan Didio. This is how he achieved the New 52 in the first place. Slowly but surely, we had the Identity Crisis first, which turned our heroes darker. They didn't trust each other. It was a somber, psychologically dark universe. Eventually we had Flashpoint that was sort of bastardized mid-run, and this culminated into the New 52, in which the entire DC universe was remade in the image of Batman, really, and Batman himself was made far darker than he should ever be. I'm going to have the fan man, Chris Moe, on my very first live stream tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. That will be, well, maybe it's today, depending on when you're watching this video, but that will be Thursday, the 18th, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so tune in for that. Hopefully no problems will arise, and we'll be able to talk a great deal about that. I know the fan man feels very much the same way I do, and he has a lot to bring to this conversation as well, so we will talk about that. I just wanted to make one brief point in this video while promoting that live stream tomorrow, and this point is the argument against my fears and anxieties over the DC Universe that I hear a lot. I hear when I'm talking about any one specific run that, hey, it's not that bad, just see where it goes, they'll have their time, they'll eventually be off of it, and so forth. And I actually understand where people are coming from when they make that argument. The problem with the argument, though, is that it misses the forest for the trees, to use a cliche there. If you take Bendis on Superman, I can understand somebody saying, hey, you know what, the dialogue's wonky, he's taking away a lot of things we love, but you know what, at least it's not the New 52. The character of Superman, personality-wise, is still pretty solid, he's still there, so it's not the end of the world. I could understand that. And I can see how you might take that approach to some of the other issues. Here's the problem. As I said, it misses the forest for the trees because it's not just Bendis on Superman. It's Bendis on Superman. is the Teen Titans being completely obliterated and Damian going back to his dark, snotty little self, wanting to subvert and work against all of the adult DC superheroes. So he puts together his own little team that can be a dark, avenging, kill people. The Titans, the wonderful team of friends that we finally had back in Rebirth, is all but done away with. We have Dick Grayson now leading a team subjugated to the oversight of the Justice League, and they're already starting to exploit all the drama they can out of that, which is silly. We have ads for the new Hanna-Barbera DC crossover. Those have always been a little hit or miss here and there, but the last one overall was quite good. We had the iconic Jabberjaw with Aquaman, the Blue Falcon with the Super Sons. This one, if you look at the previews for this one, it's horribly dark versions of all of the Hanna-Barbera characters. There's a Yogi Bear versus Deathstroke, and Yogi Bear is this monstrous grizzly. At least it's being billed as that. I don't care if they pull a switcheroo or fooled you in the end. It's being billed as that, and this is Dan Didio's darkness applied to everything. He does not like a happy, hopeful universe. He likes more titles. The New 52 was absurd, having 52 titles out, and they just fell off by the wayside. It was comical to see how many titles were canceled each week. It was ridiculous. But he loves those new titles because we've got to bring in that new reader. We've got to go out and get more. Don't worry about pleasing the loyal ones that faithfully subscribe to us. Let's go get more. Let's change this up. So the Justice League. Justice League's a pretty simple concept, but now we're going to have 5 or so different versions of them. And I'm not completely against that idea. Some of the ideas and what Scott Snyder's doing with the Justice League looks pretty neat. That's the problem here. I am not wanting to jump off a bridge over any of these one single issues. The Titans and what's being done there isn't the end of the world. Hopefully that can come back around. As far as the Teen Titans go, I never did like Damian much anyway, but it's still frustrating to have a character that I started to come around to with Super Sons and whatnot being forcefully jammed back into his snotty, rebellious, unearned sense of accomplishment state. Superman's a huge blow, but if this was the only problem of the DC universe, I could at least hope and pray for another writer to come on soon. But the problem is all of these things together leading towards Heroes in Crisis, the big a crisis event that's coming this fall. I know what he's doing. He's done this before. It's naive of anybody to think, especially with the letter to the editor he placed out in that last DC Nation, he explicitly said, I'm not happy with the state of comics right now. I mean, he fluffed it up, of course, so it sounded nice, but he was not happy with Rebirth. He wants to inject the spirit of the New 52 in it. He said some nice little things about Rebirth. Oh, it was great. You know, we'll have a return to our characters, so we'll still be true to our characters. We'll take that lesson from Rebirth, but we need to bring in the innovation of the New 52. This is just maddening. How does a man think like this? How does one who wants to make money think like this? It's absurd, and it's incredibly heartbreaking for those of us who dearly love the DC universe, not for what it can be changed into and deconstructed into, but we love the heart of the DC universe, which is the iconic, the hopeful. So, as I said, we'll get into this far more in depth tomorrow in the live stream with the Fan Man. I will try to have another video out between now and then. Welcome to all the new subscribers. That She-Ra and the Iconic Feminine video really took off and caught fire. I've got a couple more things to say about that, which I will hopefully put out in that next video between now and tomorrow night. But until then, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.